We live. 3, 2, 1. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. You're watching Beast Kid. You are not tuned in to another video, man. I haven't done this in so long, bro. It feels so weird. But we back. Now, if y'all know me personally, y'all know that I've always been on the middle of everything. I haven't been just black or white, blue or red or anything like that. Whole life I've always been in the middle. I like fall weather, spring, warm, no hot or cold, just always been in the middle. And naturally, as I started getting into guns, it's handgun wise, I kind of stuck to that whole little script, I stuck compact. Well, when I first started, I started off with subcompact, and I didn't like it. It was horrible. My first gun was a Taurus G2S, and my accuracy was just horrible as fuck with it. It was really snappy, and I never understand. To this day, you get a lot of guys that's vouching for subcompact guns and carrying it. Oh, I don't want to print in public, man. I don't give a fuck about all of that. Accuracy is king. I'd rather be printing. I don't care if my gun will have to be 100 inches barrel long. The barrel has to be 100 inches long for me to be accurate with it. I'm gonna carry a 100-inch barrel because accuracy is king, in my opinion, compared to all of the other stats that comes into play when concealed carrying and self-defense shooting. So I carried a subcompact, didn't like it. I carried it for about, I want to say maybe 3 months, 3 months tops. Got it out of there. Went straight to full size. Went with the Glock 17. Glock 17, I was a bit more accurate with it. I was able to train better with it. G2S, I wasn't able to train. Because being a beginner shooter, it's a lot of things you got to kind of troubleshoot all at once. Not having a mentor or somebody standing over your shoulder and teaching you how to do it, how to execute, or what you're doing wrong. So I didn't have any of that. There was a lot of shit going wrong. I'm like, okay, it's got to be the platform. I'm gonna drop this one and I'm gonna go to another platform. I went to Glock 17. Shot that. I was a bit more accurate. I was on paper. My groupings wasn't 20 inches apart at 10 yards, but I still wasn't accurate. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, there's certain attributes you got to come into play when you doing the trade-off. You're gonna have pros and cons on each one. You got pros and cons. So the Glock 17 wasn't really concealable. It felt like a brick in my hand. So that's when I naturally went with the Glock 19. It's not a subcompact barrel. You're not trading off that much velocity. It conceals really well, and it don't feel like it fit like a glove. Some dudes, they have big, massive hands, and I say intermediate hands. I don't have big man hands, but I'll probably say a teenage male hands. It fits perfectly in there. And I never had any problems with it. So after getting the Glock 19 and shooting this and training with this and becoming accurate with this, almost all of my handguns became compact size until something just changed in me. I saw that and I told myself I needed a Glock 34, so I went with this. And what most dudes, what you see in the gun community, the Glock 34 pipeline is through John Wick. I've seen John Wick, and it really ain't sparked nothing up here, but seeing John Bernthal, Punisher, and even though it was just one scene where he used this, the neuron activation up here just activated, and I was like, yeah, this is what I needed. But despite, me seeing that, and, most shooters in the community is influenced by pop culture. So, this isn't something new, but seeing that, despite, his build is a bit different. He has like the black slide. He has the Combat Master version of the TTI. He has the compact master version of the TTI, where it's a black slide, and I think sometimes they have the copper barrel or black slide, black barrel, and he's running the iron. So, you know, like I do with all my guns, I customized it a bit and made it more mine. So I went with a Troy with a copper / coyote brown finish Cerakote on a slide. As you can see, I'm in a very coyote brown chapter in my life, so that was just something that I wanted done at this time. Went RMR on the out the cut, got the Hollison 407 X2, I believe. Slide work done by Slide Work Engineering, and we're clear. And I just kind of want to shout those guys out there. You know, they have excellent customer service. If you guys haven't got anything done by them, definitely check them out. Excellent customer service. I had an issue where, you know, sometimes building Glocks, you're not right all the time. You know, sometimes I do some dumbass shit. I did some dumbass shit or whatever, and I reached out. I was kind of panicking in my head, like, yo, is this in spec? You know, I reached out to him, and he, no bullshit, he reached back out to me in at least like 5 minutes. Tops, 5 minutes tops. He reached back out to me and was like, yo, what you having? You know, trying to troubleshoot it over phone. Is he doing anything? He's like, yo, kind of barrel you got in there? That's a 17 barrel. I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, you got a 34 barrel, dumbass? I'm like, yeah, it's in the mail. He's like, okay, well, wait till the 34 barrel get there. Try that. Any issues happen, then I'll send you the return label, ship it back out, and we'll figure out what's going on. Whole time, there was nothing going on. I was just being a dumbass. I put a 17 barrel in there. And if you actually look at the, I'm not going to take this apart, but the lugs on a barrel is different from the 17 lugs. As you can see, the end is it's pushed down so that it can fit the 17 recoil spring. So the recoil spring don't really latch on the same way on a 34 slide as opposed to the 17 slide. But all of the parts, 17 interchangeable. That's another reason why I felt like this is something that I could do, and I did. The parts is interchangeable with the 17. So if you have a 17, all you need is a 34 slide and a 34 barrel, and you can basically build your own 34. And that's my segue into the pros and cons of this platform. First pro is interchangeable with the just looking at my notes, interchangeable with the 17 model. Like I said, all of the parts, you would think, okay, maybe do I need a longer striker assembly or anything like that? Nope. Everything right here, like this part of the slide, all of this is basically a 17. The only difference is it's just a couple more. It's just about an inch more off the frame. That's the only difference. If you want to look into it, the specs and all that, if you all into like ballistics and shit like that, you are getting some more feet per second, but it's not much to make a fucking difference. My other pro, and this might be just for me, is it conceals a bit better than the compact models. You know, a lot of people, they will argue, no it doesn't, man. Like, it's a bigger gun, so it's going to print more. I don't know why. Me personally, the longer frame, it maybe because I got a little gut going, it conceals better against my abdomen as opposed to a shorter frame where it's sticking, where it's in here, and I got it on my waistband. I have the issue where this kind of pokes out a bit. And I know most guys could agree that carrying compact and maybe even subcompact, that we have that issue where, you know, it's sticking out a little. Even if you got like an extended base plate, it's sticking out a little bit like that. You, or me, I'll speak for myself, I lift up, my shirt rises up a little bit, and it's It's dangling over the it's dangling, the grip is sticking out like that. You know, I had that issue, but I don't have that problem with this because when it's sitting in there, it kind of folds into my side, so I don't have that issue. That's another pro. And the third and probably final pro is John Wick and fucking Punisher has one. You know, pop, like I said earlier, pop culture is the leading thing with most dudes my age that's getting into guns. You know, we seen all the cool guns in Halo and Call of Duty and shit. We got older, we're able to get them, so we got them. So pop culture, yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's other Glock 34 appearances in media, but you know, I mean, like, two of the coolest dudes in pop culture right now is John Wick and John Berthal's Punisher. A con is when you're dealing with a larger / longer slide, that's more mass reciprocating when you're firing. Even though it's a 9mm cartridge, the same thing this one fires, you have a much longer, do it like this, you have a much longer slide, so you have this much weight reciprocating back when it's firing. So both of them go on at the same time. So however much, I don't know the weight, but you know, when you get into specifics, it's weight and all of that. So even though if you're shooting the same grain, the same weight of projectile, you're gonna have more felt recoil coming out of this because it's more mass reciprocating out of this one. So what I would say is, if that's like a big thing with you, if you're getting into competition and shit like that, maybe do like some ports, or if you don't really care about the length, go with a comp. But I felt more, and I've been shooting Glocks for almost 5 years now. I felt a lot of muzzle rise on this one, and it's really noticeable. A lot of times when, you know, you get those dudes, those twinks on YouTube, they're like, oh, dude, I don't like shooting that. I gotta put 100 ports in the barrel, dog. I gotta put 100 ports in it. I don't like that recoil, man. And then the whole time it's like a fucking 32 or some shit like that. It's not even 9mm. But, you know, I don't ever see the difference in person, but with this, I could definitely tell, and I felt much more of a difference. You could probably even throw on another pro, that bullet velocity. Like I said, each inch you add to a barrel, I'm not sure of the specifications, I'll put it on the screen, but each inch you add to the barrel is a certain amount of feet per second you add to the bullet velocity of your gun. So if I got a Glock 19 and it's a 4.3, 4.9 barrel length, and that translates into Spear Gold Dot 124 grain plus P 1200 feet per second maybe coming out of this, it will add a certain amount, maybe plus 300 feet per second, and that will mean the bullet is coming out more hotter because you have more rotations, being that you have more rotations of the bullet spinning through the, I don't know the specifications, I'm not the scientist, I'm not deep into ballistics or anything like that, but basically there's riflings in the barrel. Each rotation will push the bullet out faster. So when you go shorter on the barrel, it's less bullet velocity. When you go longer on the barrel, more bullet velocity. So that's an extra pro, despite the fact that, you know, something like this, well, in comparative to Glock 19, it might be a little bit more, but it's not noticeable to see at the range. And on top of that, same thing with accuracy. Longer barrels equals better accuracy. But like I said, I've been training with the Glock 19 so much that when I picked this up, it was basically the same thing. The Glock 34 was introduced as a competition-oriented model, longer slide, longer barrel, and a focused on-sight radius and controllability. That was a fucking mouthful. It was basically Glock's answers to people who wanted a race-ready pistol straight from the factory, without all of the customizations and unreliable blah blah blah. But like I said, if you got your little twink wrist and shit like that, or if you are a woman, I'll probably go getting something ported. I might also do the same, although I've had my gripes with ported pistols before and unreliability. If I do, I'll probably go back to the dudes at Slide Works. I do look forward to working with them again. There was excellent customer service. I like seeing that, you know, and this was done earlier, so, you know, some good dudes over there. I also want to shout out to Tackdown. That's where I get all my barrel and Glock parts from. He's an awesome dude over there. This barrel is also from him. Never had any issues with the parts or anything like that. You know, when you're talking about, I kind of want to change the tone here. When you're talking about protecting your life, your family's life, and this, just in general, it's important that you deal with parts that's, you deal with people that are manufacturing parts that they trust themselves. It's a lot of sketchy and cheap manufacturers out there. It's important that you deal business with people that would trust their own parts that they're pushing out. You know, with dealing with this type of stuff, you're dealing with your life, you're dealing with your family's life, and it's important you don't cheap out on stuff like that. Those are the people I normally deal with. There's some other great people out there to deal business with, but, you know, moving forward. Yep. That's basically it. I didn't really do anything other. Everything else is OEM on this. OEM Glock frame, OEM Glock magazine, striker fire, trigger. I didn't change anything else. These are OEM Glock sights as well, night sights. I didn't change everything else. There's really not much else to take out from this. It's just a Glock with a longer barrel. Let me know down below if this is something that, you know, if you're going down the pipeline as well. I like to see some of y'all builds as well, if that's something y'all getting into, if we're all on the same page. And yeah, since my last gun collection video, I've made a lot of new additions. I just haven't been in the mood to stand in front of a camera. So I don't know, this might be something I'll be doing more often, maybe not. I don't know, y'all let me know. But I do hope to see you all soon in one of my future videos. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, and peace.